Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of Rendezvous with Anza Saqib on CxO Global TV. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform for all C levels across the globe. We take massive pride in contributing to the knowledge economy with our League of Extraordinary Thought Leaders. Today, as well, we've got a very special gentleman with us. His name is Mr. Muneeb Imran Shaikh. He is a information security and privacy expert. He's been an advisor and analyst. So let's talk to him. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Anza. It's a pleasure being on your platform.
Thank you. Sir, so let's jump right into it. Where did your journey begin and how did you end up where you are at right now?
So I started off, my career started in Pakistan. I started working with Huawei Technologies as soon as I had graduated from the university, and my majors were in the telecommunication side. So I started with Huawei working as a data services engineer, where I was looking after various products. At that time, I'm talking about back in 2008. And at that time, SMS, MMS were the thing in the telecommunication sector. So I looked after those products. The world that we are living in today, it wasn't the same. And at that time, MMS, and even the internet services were not as easily available on the mobile. So therefore, I looked after those products, worked with Huawei Technologies in Pakistan for 2.5 years, and then I came to Saudi Arabia, and since then I've been living in Saudi Arabia. I worked with Huawei when I moved to Saudi Arabia for a long time period, and that role was about an application software development liaison, where I worked with three different teams, from marketing side to the R&D and to the operations as well. I was kind of a bridge between all of them, and the product that I was looking after was based on a revenue sharing model. So it was a very wonderful experience in the sense that I got to learn about three different disciplines. I mean that, okay, how does R&D think in developing a certain product? What does it take to develop a certain software product? And then how that product needs to be commercialized, and how marketing thinks about it, because it was built on a revenue sharing model between Huawei and the telecom operator to whom we had sold that product. So that was pretty interesting. And by the end of that time period, when I was in the last few years with Huawei, I had started to realize that, I had come to a point where I felt that my skills were getting stagnated, and this field is not really going to be too beneficial for me. And I started to realize that information security is something that is going to challenge not just the private organizations, but governments at large, and not just the information security, privacy also. So therefore, I started, preparing myself up for this field, and I started studying first, and I did various certifications in cybersecurity and in privacy as well. And in cybersecurity, for those who do not really understand cybersecurity, broadly speaking, there are two main divisions in cybersecurity. One is the technical aspect, where you have the defensive side and the offensive side,
Yeah.
and on the other hand, you have something which we call GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. So my niche is all towards the governance, risk, and compliance side. And
Right. Go on. Please go on.
Yeah, so for past 3 years, I have been into the consulting side for cybersecurity and privacy, and again, where I have built cybersecurity strategy for different clients, be it from the government sector, from the banking side, and right now I'm working as a privacy manager, data privacy manager for one of the credit bureaus over here.
Lovely. Sir, very impressive portfolio, mashallah. But what exactly does your day-to-day job role entail? Like, for example, when we talk about your advisory or consultancy services, if you could just quickly outline some of the things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
So you see, right now the information security and privacy challenges are essentially unique across the globe, with exceptions from North America and Europe. But perhaps, I mean, in our part of the world, in the Asian region, it's more or less the same. Saudi Arabia is a pretty mature market, but the way the entire advisory and the consultancy service goes about, it's like this: that you have to first assess the environment against a certain regulatory framework or the international best practices standard, or the laws, whatever are the operating boundaries. You have to assess the environment against those, again, regulatory framework, the laws, or the international standard, and then kind of do a gap analysis to see where the organization really stands at, and then what does it require for that organization to comply with that regulatory framework, or with that standard, or with that law. Obviously, that will further, require a lot of activities, and then you have to identify the sequence how these activities need to be carried out over a certain period of time.
Right, absolutely. Now, sir, let's speak strictly in the context of developing economies like Pakistan. Now, information security is a big concern even at the governmental level. What are some of the issues that are currently prevalent, and some ways in which they can be tackled?
A few months back, I wrote a policy review. So Pakistan outlined their cybersecurity policy last year in July 2021, and I did a policy review for that. The challenge that I see with countries like Pakistan, which are still trying to deal with their macroeconomic challenges, the challenge is, when it comes to cybersecurity, is that if an economy is not making enough money, I mean, obviously they would not have enough budget to allocate it to the security. What happens is that, unfortunately, cybersecurity and privacy get moved to the back burner, because the first thing first is that you have to create a value within the society. Are the businesses really making enough money out of those societies? That's the first thing. And same thing goes for at the governmental level. If the governmental institutions are not in a profitable state, then obviously focusing on cybersecurity and privacy, they take a backseat. They are not the immediate concerns. However, I mean, I do see that with the passage of time, there is an increasing awareness, within the governmental sectors and in the private sectors as well. It's just that you need budgeting is one aspect of it, but you also need some kind of a regulatory framework. I know Pakistan last year had outlined the cybersecurity policy, but policy is just a declaration of an intent. There is still a lot of work which needs to be done, and to begin with, you need to set out a regulatory framework, framework that is applicable across different sectors within Pakistan, and applicable to all kind of businesses, whether small businesses, large enterprises. All of them should adhere to it, so that it provides a uniformity across the landscape, and helps the government to understand that where exactly the country stands at in terms of the cybersecurity maturity and privacy as well.
Absolutely. Some very valid points made, sir. But, like you mentioned, Pakistan recently came up with its cybersecurity policy, and you have given us a very good critical analysis on this. But what are some of the other things that governments need to keep in mind when determining the efficacy of their privacy laws? And what are some of your policy recommendations in the context of Pakistan?
So coming to the laws, first thing first is that, laws are essentially the reflection of ethos of any society.
Yeah.
Okay. And so all laws are created within those boundaries. There's one more aspect that, especially when we deal about the privacy laws, the thing is that most of the privacy laws that are being formulated right now, they are in alignment with the European General Data Protection Regulation. They are in alignment with that. The reason is that you have a lot of trade with Europe, obviously, and now data is becoming a commodity. It's a commodity that is heavily exchanged between different businesses, between different countries, and the amount of structured data that we have today. I mean, in human history, we have never had that amount of structured data. So obviously, there is a lot that needs to be done to exchange that data as a commodity. Now, therefore, all the laws that are going to be created that are going to be in alignment with the General Data Protection Law regulation by Europe. And I remember back in 2018, Pakistan had tabled a personal data protection draft as well, personal data protection law draft as well. And in 2021, they tabled a bill for, it was a consultation draft for personal data protection bill. I'm not sure what exactly has happened after that, but I anticipate that the privacy laws which are going to be created, they are going to be in alignment with GDPR, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the cybersecurity regulatory framework, the policy objectives that they had outlined in their policy, they were right on spot. It's just that you need a body that makes sure that all these regulations that are going to be formulated in future, they need to be strictly adhered to across different sectors, across different industries, and across all kind of businesses. And for cybersecurity, I think the challenge that I see is, I don't see the challenge in terms of the human resource. I see challenge more in terms of the technology, and it stems from our fragility in terms of our economy, because our economy is not really that stable. Therefore, whenever you have to take some kind of technology from outside of Pakistan, that is where the real challenge lies. However, you do have good software developers, so they can. It also provides you an opportunity to become self-sufficient, which was also one of the aspects which was highlighted in the cybersecurity policy, that you have to become self-sufficient by developing the technologies, by developing the cybersecurity softwares on your own, so that you don't just become so self-sufficient. You start being in a position where you can start exporting those products and those solutions to the outside world.
Absolutely, agreed 100%. Now let's move on a little bit towards, your advice for mid-career professionals. What would it be?
I'll tell you what my value system is, how I think about it. And I don't know if I am the right person to give an advice, but I can share with you what exactly is my value system or belief system. I believe that we need to stay 2 steps ahead of the curve if we want to compete at the global level. This is extremely important. क्योंकि अगर आप देखें ना कि अगर हम चाहते हैं कि हम दुनिया में लीड करें, तो हमें हमेशा 2 स्टेप्स आगे रहना पड़ेगा. हम ये नहीं कर सकते, हम रिएक्टिव नहीं हो सकते. और जो भी नेशंस लीड करती हैं दुनिया को, अगर आप वो देखें तो वो फिर हर चीज में एक्सेल करती हैं. वो सिर्फ एक डायमेंशन में एक्सेल नहीं करती. वो फिर यानी कि टेक्नोलॉजिकली भी, सोशल साइंसेज में भी, लॉ में भी, अपने कल्चर, आर्ट, हर जगह पे वो एक्सेल करती हैं. वी नीड टू डू द सेम थिंग. सो रिगार्डलेस कि कोई किस फील्ड के अंदर है, आप चाहे लॉ में हैं, आप बिजनेस मॉडल्स आप स्टडी करते हैं, आप टेक्नोलॉजिकल एस्पेक्ट पे हैं, आपने हमेशा कोशिश ये करनी चाहिए कि मैं हमेशा ये कोशिश करता हूं कि हम 2 स्टेप्स आगे रहें, ताकि जो भी चैलेंजेस हैं वो फिर, और ये चीज़ बड़ी ज़रूरी है हमारी इकोनॉमिक उसके लिए, ग्रोथ के लिए, इकोनॉमिक प्रॉस्पेरिटी के लिए. आई सिंसियरली बिलीव कि हमारा जो है नेशनल रिजॉल्व होना चाहिए कि हम इकोनॉमिक प्रॉस्पेरिटी हम जो है अटेन कर सकें विद द राइट फंडामेंटल्स. और 2 और चीजें जो मैं बात करना चाहूंगा इसके लिए, मिड करियर प्रोफेशनल्स के लिए, जो मैं खुद बिलीव करता हूं कि वो ये कि देखिए, जब आपके पास रिसोर्सेस कम होती हैं ना, तो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज ये होता है कि आपके पास जो कुछ है उसको आपने कंसोलिडेट करना है. और आप उसमें एक बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट रिसोर्स जो होती है वो है टाइम. आप टाइम को ना जाया करें. मैं इस मामले में बड़ा पर्टिकुलर हूँ. आई मेक श्योर कि टाइम जाया ना हो, इसलिए बड़ी चीज़ों को मैं प्लान करके चलता हूँ. तो होता ये है कि जब आप अपनी रिसोर्सेज जो भी होती हैं, चाहे आपकी लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज हो, अगर आप उनको सही यूटिलाइज करते हैं और आप उनको मैक्सिमाइज करते हैं, तो आप बहुत सारे उन लोगों से आगे निकल जाते हैं जिनके पास बहुत सारी रिसोर्सेज होती हैं और वो कुछ नहीं कर पाते. ये चीज बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड लास्टली आई फील दिस इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट दैट आई प्रैक्टिस, which is कि कभी इस चीज के ऊपर फोकस नहीं होना चाहिए कि कौन आपको एक्नॉलेज कर रहा है, कौन एक्नॉलेज नहीं कर रहा, किसने अप्रिशिएट किया, किसने अप्रिशिएट नहीं किया, कौन जेलस हो रहा है, कौन जेलस नहीं हो रहा. Success invites enmity and it attracts enviousness as well. तो ये चीज बड़ी जरूरी है कि हम इन चीजों से ना आजाद रहें, क्योंकि लोगों की एनिमिटी भी खत्म हो जाती है, लोगों की जेलसी भी जो है इट विदर्स अवे, पीपल एक्सेप्ट यू एज वेल. बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट ये है कि जो आप करना चाहते हैं ना, जो चीज सही है, जो आप करना चाहते हैं, जिसके ऊपर आपको कन्विक्शन है कि ये सही चीज है, ये करने वाली है, मेक श्योर दैट यू डू इट डे इन एंड डे आउट, बी रिलेंटलेस. That is, I mean, if you have this kind of value system, regardless कि आप कौन सी फील्ड में, you will excel. This is what I believe in.
Thank you, sir. Very valuable advice indeed. We learned a lot from you today. Thank you for your time. It's been an honor and a privilege. Unfortunately, we're running out of time today. But before we end, I would like to ask you, what do you think is the utility of forums like CxO Global?
I think it's extremely valuable क्योंकि जो ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म्स जो हैं वो आइडियली आइडिया शेयरिंग के लिए, आइडियाज की ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग के लिए काम आते हैं. और स्पेशली जब यहाँ पे आप एक थॉट लीडर्स को लेकर आते हैं किसी भी फील्ड के अंदर, तो बहुत सारे ऐसे डाइवर्स एस्पेक्ट्स आपको सुनने को मिलते हैं, उनसे सीखने का मौका मिलता है, जो कि जिससे it enables you to break away from the silos. This is what I also say in my professional life, that the reason why we stay behind is that we tend to see and think and operate in silos. So when we get to interact with thought leaders through the platforms like CxO Global, I think यहाँ पे सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज ये होता है कि आप उन साइलोज से बाहर निकल के आते हैं और आपको डाइवर्स एस्पेक्ट्स जो है वो आपको सुनने को मिलते हैं और आपका दिमाग खुलता है. और फिर वहां से फिर आप कोई एक अपॉर्चुनिटी भी मिलती है कि आप कैसे कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं बैक टुवर्ड्स पाकिस्तान, एंड how you can create value at a larger level.
True. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Please keep contributing to the knowledge economy. We would love to hear more from you, and we will definitely be in touch.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today, but please stay tuned. We will have more guests joining us later on, and please keep us updated with your comments and feedback. They're really valuable to us. With that said, here's me signing off, and see you next time.